Daily Maverick yesterday shut down for a day in order to bring urgent attention to the emergency facing journalism around the world. Now, it warns that the market failure has put independent journalism at risk of collapse with effects that will be catastrophic. Now, it also says that most of the public and business community still don't appreciate the full extent of a news media crisis or its urgency. And the publication says that newsrooms globally are closing down and retrenching journalists. Now, in the last 15 years, it is estimated that South Africa has lost almost 70% of the news media workforce. To elaborate further on what happened yesterday and, of course, the broader situation, we're now joined virtually by the editor of Daily Maverick 168, Heather Robertson. Heather, thanks so much for speaking to us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thanks, Sakina, and thanks for inviting us to chat about this.
So that was quite something yesterday because Leanne and I both, I think, saw it almost simultaneously and we were like, oh, what's happening? Daily Maverick. And very interesting to see what you guys did there. Do you feel that it had the intended outcome?
It's not just a feeling, it's actually based on fact, which journalism should be based on. The outcome was tremendous. We got a conversation going amongst the public. I mean, we had an amazing response and talking about the role of journalism, which was one of the aims, to people to understand the value of credible fact-based journalism. And secondly, we also managed to gain a lot of support, both financially from readers who are actually paying to become insiders to support Daily Maverick's journalism, and also a lot of interest from businesses for advertising for Daily Maverick's journalism.
And which takes us back to the question that many were asking yesterday, why is Daily Maverick doing this? Is Daily Maverick in crisis? Is there a problem with Daily Maverick?
No, we're not in crisis, but journalism is in crisis. And we are part of the journalism family, the journalism ecosystem. And we want to bring to awareness of everybody who benefits from journalism. So the South African public who benefited from the Zondo Commission was a result of exposure by investigative journalists of the Gupta leaks, for example. Several other cases. I mean, ground up's exposure of Thabo Bester and Dr. Nampipa. That was a small donor-funded journalism outfit which did that work. So people need to understand that journalism is not funded by air and love. Although we do love what we do and we actually see what we do as a public service. It actually is based on funding and a variety of different funding sources. So no, we are not in crisis, but all of us, our journalism is in crisis because a lot of the funding that used to support journalism, both the advertising and people paying for journalism, has actually moved towards the global platforms like the Googles, the Facebooks, etc. And that has caused this crisis.
And then also, as I was asking that question on the front page of the Star this morning, Heather, I don't know if you've seen it. They went with that story saying, begging bowl, Maverick shut down, stunt to fill coffers. The question asked goes on to say controversial media outlet, the Daily Maverick, embarked on an unprecedented 24-hour shutdown yesterday to highlight the financial challenges experienced by journalism at large. But the private online and weekly print newspaper publisher, which has faced intense scrutiny over its funding model and donors, shut down its webpage at midnight on Sunday. So that was quite interesting, the slant that the Star took on what you guys did yesterday.
It is very interesting and bless their souls, but they're in the same boat as we are. We haven't lost or retrenched a single journalist, not one. If you actually investigate how many journalists have actually lost their jobs in independent newspapers, and look at what has happened to the copy sales of the print part of independent newspapers. I mean, I'm the editor of one of the only newspapers that is increasing in circulation, which is the Daily Maverick. But this is not about bun fights within the industry. We care about journalism everywhere. And believe it or not, everyone who works at the independent newspapers. We care about the long legacy of independent newspapers, which used to actually produce excellent fact-based journalism. We are here, we are talking about the fate of everyone in this industry.
And speaking of, one of the questions, and people have been asking this, the Star also makes mention, is, of course, the funding model of the business day. For, as you say, most media houses are facing a funding crisis, among other things. So what is the funding model of the Daily Maverick to be able to sustain, as you say, its workforce and continue to do the stellar work that it does?
Okay, so let's start with the one thing that drew me and attracted me to working for Daily Maverick was the fact that it is run by people who love serving other people with fact-based information. Okay, so it's not based on on for profit. It's based on providing journalism and informing the public for free. We have 10 million people reading Daily Maverick every single month. Okay. We have now close to 30,000 people who can afford to actually fund that journalism. So that's one revenue stream. We have members, people who choose to be members of Daily Maverick, and so they actually give a monthly donation from 75 Rand upwards. Okay, individual South Africans who support what we do and allow us to continue doing the work that we do. The second revenue stream is advertising, which is rapidly shrinking for the reason that I explained. But the global platforms, which are eating into every single media house around the world and in the global south in particular. Okay. The third revenue stream we have is philanthropic funding from various philanthropists all over the world. Then we also do things like we produce books, we sell books. We also, this shirt that I'm wearing, we sell Daily Maverick T-shirts, that sort of marketing paraphernalia, and we also host massive events like the Daily Maverick Gathering that we held in March, the election gathering. So there's a number of different. We have to all find a number of different revenue streams. Every media house needs to do this.
And just as we start to wrap this up, Heather, very powerful message yesterday. But what needs to be done? What needs to happen in order to avoid the sort of meltdown that you were highlighting yesterday? Because what if journalism collapses for one or other reason? What happens if there isn't adequate funding, if there isn't an adequate response to the dangers that you highlight?
What will happen is that we will not have watchdogs over those in power. Okay, the corrupt in business, in politics, in institutions like our sporting institutions, like our religious institutions, will go unchecked and unwatched. We will actually have a very weak or non-existent democracy. Journalism is a pillar of our democracy, just like the judiciary is, just like our various political parties are. When journalism collapses, and if journalism is replaced by, for example, people's various opinions that run on X and Facebook, TikTok, not based on fact, but based on hidden agendas or based on personal greed, we are going to have an even worse society. We're going to have system failures. So we need journalism to be a watchdog. And I want to also point out that quality, fact-checked, validified journalism also have watchdogs watching them. And we subscribe to that. You in the broadcast industry have the Broadcast Complaints Commission. The public can complain about your journalism. Equally, those of us in online media and print media have the Press Council of South Africa, to whom the public can complain and if we have made mistakes. And we open ourselves up to this. And that is why journalism needs to be supported. And that is why we are here to actually make the public aware of the role of journalism. Because I think people don't understand, one, what the funding models are for journalism, what our role is, and how they can actually keep a check of us. Because yes, we also do have power as information disseminators, but our power can be checked. All power should be checked.
Indeed. Heather, very powerful message. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Heather Robertson, the editor of Daily Maverick 168. You may have noticed yesterday that black landing page that we saw yesterday morning, and it was a very powerful message. And as Heather says, the facts bear that out.
100%, very important. It really is. You've got to pay for good content. It's just the way it is with journalism.